The players have been seated behind those freshly built computers that we all just seemingly got a step-by-step instruction on how to make right there. I feel like we're learning a lot from some of our sponsors coming into this one, but more importantly, we're going to take a quick look and learn a bit more about those athletes who are going to be competing here today as we take a look at our rosters coming into this one. Farmer, I have to ask, are there any players in particular that you're excited to see?
Some of my old teammates. Other than that, not really sure. Yeah, so Scott, Dean, Clint, yeah.
Yeah, that is the UQU esports lineup. You have Lithium lead, Scott. I believe that's pronounced Chowguy? How would you pronounce that one?
Why are you asking me? I don't know.
It's Sean. It's Sean. We know him as Sean. Sean's going to be playing as well. You've got Deanne as well as Clint. I mean, obviously, you've played with Scott. You've played with Clint. You know how they work. Deanne, I believe, was the sub as well.
Yeah, I've seen him play. He's very good. Yes.
What did you think? Very good. Do you remember what he did last year?
Nope. He was our manager, I think.
Yeah, but he played in the show match last year as well and decided to split push as, I believe, it was Misfortune at the time. And when I say split push, I mean, go solo mission
and
on
die.
the top lane. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
so
never let him live it down, I think, is a good plan.
Always fun to see. Of course, you have a middle in the reserve, and we could be seeing some substitutions today. That said, their opponents on the QUT side, the Tigers, consisting of Tron the Palm, Major, Norbit 2, Akira, and Trimming Armor. And what's interesting about this lineup is Amor. That's right. I got it wrong. You've got Joel, Ellen, and Rusty all acting as reserves. Again, we're expecting to see them get subbed in. What's fun about this lineup, though, is they're actually mixing some of their teams together. So we're seeing some of their top team, some of their academy team, as well as some of their women's team, all of which are going to be having a chance to play on stage today.
Yeah, I think that's pretty exciting. And, yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think generally, this show match should be used for just giving players a chance on the stage, and that's what they're doing. So I'm behind it.
Yeah, you get a little bit of that stage experience, something that is very hard to replicate from home. Not to mention, some new young players in these academies or on the women's team, perhaps, getting a little bit of a feel of a proper best of three, playing on that team, full comms, full bore action, and it means a lot for these universities. I mean, there's a lot of people who are coming to watch this event live, a lot of people representing each of their schools, probably going to be rooting for their team, hoping to see their university go up in their series. You want to be the team, first team to 2 wins, right? You don't want to be 1 and 2 overall. That looks bad.
Well, I think we want to go to 3 games, though, surely.
Sure.
Past
2 years have gone 3 games, so
yeah, let's make it a banger.
Fingers crossed, we'll hopefully get to see that 3rd game. But more than that, I'm kind of curious, what sort of champions should we be expecting to see in this one? Because meta has changed from last year. In fact, League of Legends had that entire rework in terms of the items. Now you have these legendary items. What should we be looking at?
Well, I don't know exactly what these players are comfortable on, but the meta right now is defined. I think there's a lot of control mages, a lot of traditional back to front 80 carries, other than maybe Kaisa and stuff like this. I think it's more interesting to see what these players bring individually, because I doubt that it's going to be like a super meta-focused game and more like people playing their best champs, so yeah.
And I do hope that is something we get to see in that regards to the people playing their best champs. Our first game is going to have sort of, in my eyes at least, the 2 best players from each lineup. For the UQ side, you do have Scott, who is an amazing, aggressive jungler. He is someone that teams tend to play around, and he can go out there. He can be that super proactive playmaker. But on the other side for QUT, you have Tron the Palm, who I think is an emerging top lane talent. He's kind of different in that it's harder for teams to play around top lane, I feel. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but he tends to just win lanes and then play through that regards. And you can trust the top half of the map is going to be controlled if Tron the Palm is on the pitch.
Sure. Okay, now we see the bans. So UQ's banned 2 ADs and a Malzahar, and QT's banned Viego, Lisa, and Victor. Orianna first pick. Orianna first pick's nice because it fits into every comp. With the Olaf Kaisa picks in response, I think QT's looking to go forward in their draft. They want early prio, they want early strength, they want to be moving forward. So we'll see how QQ answers.
Yeah, typically in that stage you would want to go something a bit more Peel-like. I mean, the Bard seemed correct, maybe a bit more so than the Nunu, although Graves seems to be a pretty standard Scott, a pretty comfortable pick for him, and going to go ahead, lock that one in. So it's almost as if UQ is saying, we might see you wanting to come towards us, but we're ready to sort of take that head on.
Yeah, exactly. Graves is a good answer to Olaf in that he matches his clear, and he might concede the first few dragons, but he outscales him, and yeah, it is good in skirmishes. And I think the Graves Orianna AP AD mid jungle pairing is pretty nice. Orianna can buff Graves to go forward and go back. It's pretty nice all around.
And we are going to get that Samira lock in as well. I feel like this is a champion, at least from what I've seen, my exposure, probably not at the highest level just yet. We're still kind of getting grips with that, but tends to get banned out a lot. Like, people seem to view Samira as a real threat. What's sort of your take on that one?
Well, if this is on 11.4, this champ has been nerfed very hard, so I'm interested to see how Clint pulls it off. They removed her ability to dash to her allies and reduce the duration of her W and all these other nerfs. So, I mean, I agree the champ used to be really strong, and especially at this level, I'd imagine she'd be very strong, but I'm not sure how she fares now. I haven't seen her.
Well, it's going to be a tough lane matchup for sure with the Kai'Sa Nautilus. I feel like QUT is going for a much more traditional team composition right now with the meta, and from what I've seen, you have the engaged support, you have a Divey, well, you have a Kai'Sa who has just been on an absolute tear internationally. Olaf as well, it's definitely someone who will be looking to bring the fights, and with their bans on the Seraphine as well as the Rel. I think that does tell me that they don't want to walk into ambushes, traps. They don't want to get bottlenecked in some tough crowd control situations. I really like what QUT is putting together.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested to see what they followed up with. I agree that they are definitely a traditional comp. They definitely are looking for bot lane prio, and we'll see what they follow that up with.
That's well, that's not necessarily what I would expect if you want to go full divey, but Viger, it's still being hovered, hasn't been locked in yet. We're waiting to see it. Coach doesn't look too happy. He's getting quite vocal on this one, and well, that's what they go for. So, not sure what's going on there.
I mean, yeah, I'm not sure how to justify it. I guess you put the cage down, and the champs have to walk around it, right? That's Vigar's champion. Controls mid well. Probably free scales into Orianna, so that's nice.
What I find interesting, though, with this setup at this stage is while the scaling is nice, both QQ and QUT have kind of opted more for like these zony control mages as opposed for the aggressive stack kills on look to hard carry a game mage. Like, yes, if Vigar can one tap a target and just take someone off of the pit, or the rift, I should say. And yes, Orianna can turn a team fight with a good shockwave, but these aren't your typical mid lane carries. Each of them kind of playing a safer mid laner into this matchup.
Yeah, that's right, and that's kind of what I predicted before we get into the game. Control mages mid. I see we've dropped out of the lobby, so we'll see what's going on there. But I think it was Gragas, Alistair that were the two picks by UQU, so if that goes through, those are two champs that like to, what's the word? Mix up the fight, I guess.
Crowd
Displace
control,
people.
displacement.
That's the one. There's a lot of displacement, a lot of knockups for Samir to play off of, and I think it's just going to be about spreading the team apart so Samira can just take them apart one by one is what I'm looking at right now.
It's interesting to see both teams commit to what looks to be a bot side, strong side strategy coming into this as well. I mean, Samira obviously is someone who is a champion that can be feast or famine, and it looks like we're going through our picks and bans again, so I'm going to make a quick assumption that Vigar was not who they wanted to lock in.
Yeah, maybe. It looks like QT's not banning, though, so it might be that they've already decided on last pick and are just going to be...
Yeah, they were just going to zip through this one, and that tells me more convinced, just because we saw the facial reactions, right, when we were coming into that. I don't think Vigar was the Gnar.
Unless that's the last pick, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that could have been the last pick. Tron on
okay.
Gnar. I do feel that could be strong into the Gragas. You do have that little bit of zoning, and you could have a more dominant top lane matchup. Is that a potential out for QUT if UQ does start to win the bot lane and get that Samaria activated?
Yeah, the Gnar is a very good matchup into Gragas. I've recently made the mistake of letting that matchup happen, and I think that the way the matchup should go is ideally Gragas will be down 20 CS in lane, and then he'll just perfectly manage his XP and become into the game as just like the tanky champ he is. Either that or he goes for the full AP route and commits to that. But yeah, Gnar can definitely punish the Gragas, definitely get an advantage there. It's going to be really interesting to see what side Graves plays off of. I'd imagine they have to play through bot side. But at level 1, QT's comp is 100 times better. So if QT is able to dominate at level 1, I think it's going to be really hard for UQ to have a clear early game win condition.
I mean, I do agree with you. I am expecting Scott to prioritize that bot half of the map as much as possible, especially if he can try to keep the Kaisa from getting activated sooner as opposed to later. And you could have some opportunities. Nautilus is a support that does like to roam pre-level 6, does like to try and establish mid-pressure in some situations just because of the sheer amount of crowd control that they could bring. A well-timed 3-person gank onto a pre-level 6 Orianna could look very, very tempting. And I'm curious to see if we get to see sort of mixed focus from the junglers, gank for gank, prioritizing opposite ends of the map. This could be a very kill-happy game with each team looking to like kind of press down on that gas pedal as fast as possible.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at, if I'm QT, I'm looking at putting Gnar and Gragas on an island. I really just want to see, I want Olaf to be stacking dragons. I want them to be playing through level 1 really hard to push UQ off of their level 6 power spikes. And on the side of UQU, I think it's going to be really important, that level 1, to not let them get pushed around too hard, because I think they have to play through bot. They don't have a clear mid-jungle winning 2v2. Well, what is it? Is it Veigar still? I forgot.
Yeah, it still is the Veigar. They're going the Veigar. That was
Okay.
locked in twice.
They might actually have a winning 2v2 then. I don't know if you can play a 2v2 with Veigar. That sounds kind of bad. So maybe UQ can play mid-jungle 2v2 to get prio on those bot-side river control, which is actually a big boon for them. So I'd like to see them do that.
I expect to see some limit testing, I feel like. I feel like this is going to be a bloody game. I don't know. I just have that hunch, you know. For a lot of these players, it's the first time playing on a stage like this. These are two comps that kind of are reliant, I feel like, on the bot lane prio, especially if we're going to go into late game. Yes, top lane will be that island, so that's not where the action's going to be. It's going to be, I think, skirmishes over that dragon control, because I know you're talking about how you want QUT to play for those first couple dragons. Maybe you know more than I do on this one, but I don't feel like Scott is the type of player, though, who's going to let them get those for free. And if he sees an opening and a chance to disrupt that early priority, I expect he's going to try to take it.
Yeah, I don't know how Scott's changed over the past few months, but he doesn't like giving objectives up for free, that's for sure.
So I'm going to be, eyes are going to be on the jungle for sure as we kick off into this match. We're about 2 minutes away before the action starts. And before we get into it, I just have to ask sort of, you know, one more quick question for you, because as I mentioned before, you used to play for the UQ team.
I did.
Had some very serious success last year, actually, in the OCS as well. What sort of culture and environment is it like with this team? And even starting now, when the team's starting to form, what was it like sort of playing for them?
Culture, UQ's culture. Well, the best part about UQU was that we all agreed on how we wanted to play the game when we were in the game. We had really clear plans on how we wanted to execute, and we played those plans out as best we could. Basically, we won and lost by our plans. Outside the game, we're all friends. There was obviously a lot of tension in a lot of different areas. That's just standard for a team, but we managed to make it through in that regard. Quite well, I think. And we made it to the finals, right?
Yeah, I mean, results speak for themselves in that regard.
Yeah.
So then I guess piggybacking off that a little bit, did Clint ever express interest in like sort of taking your bot lane role from you at any stage? Is there a reason why we're seeing him down in the bot lane right now?
Clint was a AD carry main, and then I think someone pressured him into swapping. But there's no shot he's taking my role. I mean, he's good. He played 80s. I let him play 80s top, you know?
Yeah.
That's what he gets. Gets
Well-
to play Vayne and stuff. Like,
Well, I mean, look how
in
long
finals. We trust him to do that.
Look how long it took for him to just like go down bot. The moment you've moved on.
Yeah, all of 5 minutes.
Yeah, and there he is back on the bot. But if what you're saying is true, then UQ shouldn't be too worried, as we are 5 seconds away from going to the loading screen and then going on to Summoner's Rift. We're not going to bait everyone with that countdown. We all know how this works. But we are getting ever closer to our first game. Really, our first look at these teams for the 2021 season. Good to see Windows is still working as well. But, I mean, where's First Blood going to happen? I want some bold predictions right now. Who gets First Blood and where?
Well, it has to be bot. Like, it's going to be bot. It's either going to be in the bot river or it's going to be in bot lane. Unless Narb solo kills Gragas, that's an option. But other than that, I can't see mid ever dying. Pre-6, there's no way. And the jungle matchup should be a handshake, so
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Okay.
Again, I'm kind of feeling like this is going to be a more bloody game, so I'm going to hold you to that one. It's easier to predict that kills will happen than kills won't happen, I've noticed. Unless you're playing at like that top level. things happen in games.
Okay, fair
Either
enough.
way, we are on Summoner's Rift, everybody. UQ in blue, QUT in red, kicking off our Briz Asia Festival show match here at what I like to call the EC, heart of Brisbane, in the Valley. First time we're able to play it right here, and that's going to be QUT already looking to group as 5, and they're on their way. I'm curious, do we get to see that level 1 fight, those big level 1 plays? Because if UQ isn't careful, they could be walking right into a trap.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I could see the minimap.
Yeah, I know. Well, fortunately, we do know the players can't see that minimap. It does look like each team has sort of gone to opposite sides at the moment. Blue side, they're grouping as 5 down low as QUT. They're going up top. No chance of any sort of intermingling right here. It doesn't look like we're going to get our level 1 scrap to kick things off. However, we'll see where we go. It doesn't tell me that we'll probably get a more straightforward start.
It looks like both teams tried for something. I'm not sure if QT is still committing to that. I can't see it, unfortunately, but I think they were ready for anything, both teams.
Yeah. I think we're just going to have to, there we go.
There we go.
Now we get to see the map. Now we get to see the stats, and also we get to see that timeline. But as it goes right now, could be a little bit of a spoiler almost. That will be okay. It does look as if it will be a topside start for the QUT jungle, where it's going to be the bot side start for UQ. Nothing too crazy here. The big question will happen whether or not QUT is going to go for that vertical jungling, because they do have that blue side, top side jungle nice and warded up, and if, Major wants to go down that way, the option is there.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to take a quick... I'm going to take back what I said before about mid not dying pre-6. Veigar has not purchased items. So I believe he has a stopwatch in their inventory.
Yep, that is 0 items.
And that is a problem.
So this is playing on a
Might
stage.
be some new tech.
Yeah, new tech, nerve tech is what I would like to call it. We're playing on a stage. Again, I mentioned this is going to be a learning experience for some of these players, and unfortunately Norbit might be the first one who could be feeling a little bit of the brunt of that, forgetting to purchase items just with that stopwatch. I mean, it happens, right? It's a little awkward when it happens on the main stage, but it's a mistake that's common enough.
Yeah. Well, look, the lucky thing is that Veigar as a champion is fairly safe after you get that cage. It's hard to gank. So maybe they back with a better item. Who knows?
Well, they have the teleport available, and I almost think it would be worth it to unfortunately burn that teleport early, time it right with your minion wave so you don't lose XP. Just go back, get something, and get back into lane as fast as possible. Yes, it will suck that you sort of lose on that TP, and yeah, you can sort of greed, which is what Norbit is doing right now, trying to just risk this, no item lane and try to keep pace in terms of your opponents. But it kind of comes down to that. What's more important, having that first item or having that experience?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no question that it's not good to have no item. But yeah, I think bot lane is playing out as expected. Kai'Sa, Nautilus have priority. Kai'Sa's taking a bit more health than I would like, but... Sorry, Samira's taken a bit more health than I would like, but she's healing it back thanks to her just lifesteal on her.
Well, trimming Amor not going to hit with the first dredge line, but the second one will make contact, and that's a very low health Clint, who's on the run. Flash is burned, but it doesn't look like QUT wants to continue, as Deanne does a good job body blocking that Nautilus and keeping that AD carry safe.
Yeah, that was really dangerous. Like I said, bot lane is where the action's going to be. I'm kind of surprised we didn't see a flash play from the Alistair and perhaps an exhaust. I think that was actually... QT was playing a bit too far up into UQ's wave, so I think it could have been punished a little bit harder, but now we're in a really rough spot for UQ.
Yeah, but they've got to act quickly, QUT, if they want to make this play on Deanne, because you do have Scott starting to make his way up that lane, could be looking perhaps to set up for that counter gank. Deanne on the cow, very, very beefy, pun intended, can withstand a lot of punishment there, and eventually it looks like QUT will back off after setting some Krugs, or will they? Because Deanne goes in, a nice knockback, and Bobby's in a lot of strife right now. Is the damage there? Dredgeline will keep training Amor safe. First blood already secured by Scott. Major has a look, doesn't want any part. Training armor will slowly be whittled down. Still has flash available, however. It does use it to Dredgeline to the tower and escape. First blood, though, as you called it, in bot lane to UQ.
Yes, that is how I called it. I'm right. I'm justified. Well, I guess we still have to see if mid will die pre-6. I think they're level 5 now, so not all bets are off. Oh,
No.
there's a lost chapter purchase. Okay. So
Yay!
he's purchased a better item earlier. He wasn't punished for his purchase.
No, but we could be seeing a punish right now as Major was spotted recalling by Scott. So Scott, knowing that the map is currently available, although with not many camps on that bot side, not many places Scott can go, will go ahead and secure those Raptors instead as we sort of wait to see where Major is going. And with that first Infernal Drake on the Rift, Major is actually going to the top side of the map, and I'm a little bit surprised. I understand it's because there's no real camps down there, but this could be UQ's Dragon if they want to make a play.
Yeah, actually, Olaf definitely made a small mistake in pathing there, I think. I think if you see Kaisa and Nautilus on the map first and you're playing Olaf, you should always be pathing to that Dragon. He probably had time to get his Wolves and then go to Dragon. Otherwise, this is now anyone's game because the wave will bounce. I don't think UQ will be able to slow push because they didn't freeze it, but the wave will bounce at the time Graves is there. So it'll be a 3v3 in the river. It'll just come down to mid-prio at that point, basically.
Well, at the moment, it looks like Prio is in favor of QUT. In fact, they're actually starting up this Infernal Drake without Major being immediately there. Major is making his way down. Now, a quick little bit of housekeeping, as I'm sure people are aware, audio of the game not being heard yet. Fret not, everyone. That audio will be back in time for Game 2, so we will have that sorted. Meanwhile, what's getting sorted is a bit of a mid lane play. Shockwave is flashed out of, and a lucky escape for Norbit right there. In fact, it might get turned back around. Event Horizon looking to catch out Keegan, and here comes the Major, forcing the flash out of the Orianna. Scott, working on the flanks, has his eyes set on poor Norbit, who looks to be getting gunned down. Deanne gets credit for the kill on the Alistair.
Excitement all around. Yeah,
all right.
but you could see there that Graves made the conscious decision to path around through top, but actually, based on the priority, UQ had time to contest the Dragon if they wanted, which is, I'm glad they didn't, because I think the way this matchup should go is Graves should be looking for gank angles and farm, but yeah, that mistake could have cost UQT harder.
That was a very, very intelligent play then, you would say, by Scott, and that's what we're sort of expecting from him coming into this matchup. However, as we said before this game started, if you want to root for QUT, the player to be looking out for is Tron the Palm, who currently has a relatively nice lead going on in the top side of the map when you look at that CS. 61-32, nearly doubling that of Lithium lead. And when does that Gnar start to have a bigger impact on the Rift would be the question, as Training Armor actually gets, Hex flashed on, but we'll be able to walk away. That spacesuit has more armor than one would think.
Yeah, this lead is getting very big, and it's a bit of a concern. I think if Gragas TP's here, then the Gnar with the TP advantage and this item lead is going to be a real threat to bot lane. And yeah, I'm getting a bit concerned for UQ at this point. Yeah, they really need to find a way to close that gap.
Yeah, that top side is going to be a point of contention. So Tron is going to have his work cut out for him, but is in a good place to do it right now. As long as the rest of QUT can kind of stave off this early bot side advantage, kind of gained by Scott as well as Keegan on that counter gank play from before. It's really unfortunate that the kill went over to Deanne and not onto Keegan, I feel like, on the Orianna or even onto Scott in that situation. While, yes, it's nice to have that gold in the bot lane, I almost wonder if that's going to come into effect later in this one. Scott, though, pretty happy to keep farming that bot side of the Rift.
Yeah, you definitely want to accelerate the mid jungle here. I think that's your biggest win condition with the Gragas this far behind. And I think Samira with the nerfs, I still have no idea how she's going to function in the mid game. Her nerfs, I think, particularly affected her early game. So it looks like they're surviving through it okay. But realistically, your biggest win condition here is mid-jungle.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a little bit reflective in the itemizations as well. Clint opting for, the cull as opposed to a more typical item. Meanwhile, action happening just above the pit. Ragnarok already forced out a Major, and normally that would be a big ultimate to sort of eat up, but with no real neutral objectives that QUT can fight for at this stage, I think Major will be okay.
Yeah, well, there's the Herald. But I think that it's going to be impossible for them to contest without a swap. Although I actually would like to see them swap because I don't think UQ likes their bot lane in this matchup, and well, they might now. But Alistair's looking to roam for it.
Yeah, it's another roam coming from Deanne, this time catching out Major. Norbit drops the Event Horizon, trying to get some stone, and Deanne walks into it at that last second. Still QUT not wanting to commit for a proper fight just yet. They still have their eyes set on the larger prize, that of course being the large crab known as Rift Herald, is going to get started up by Major, and it looks like they might go to the red side uncontested.
Yeah, it's actually, this is a perfect example for newer players of how 2 kills can actually mean so little when you're down in CS and down in neutral objectives.
Oh, well, Scott still wants to fight for it and has a nice bit of damage, yet the collateral from said damage, not quite enough to take anyone down. Norbit's not going to connect with the Event Horizon, as you do see Lithium trying to find a flank with the Gragas. Watch out for that explosive cascade. Could be used to catch out Major. Not even needed. The body slam does enough damage for Scott to get that kill. Dredgeline not going to connect, but it does cause Scott to lunge away. Flash had to be used. Another pick for UQ.
Yeah, I think it's really lucky, actually, that kill worked out. I'm not sure, did Olaf flash? Sorry, I didn't see, but regardless, I actually think that contesting that Rift Herald was really dangerous for UQU. I think that Olaf's whole bot side was up. They could have had better prio on bot lane for this next dragon, and because they contested that, even the 1 kill, I feel like is actually a bit not worth.
Yeah, it was a bit of a risky play right there. I mean, it could have gone a lot worse for UQ, and they are continuing to establish a nice kill lead over QUT. The game, very, very even at this stage, however. You can't take too much from that, because if you look at that goal difference, it's only about 300, and a large reason why QUT is still competitive. Look to that top lane, look to that Gnar. Now with 50 CS advantage, just over 11 minutes in, soon this character will be a bit more unleashed, either with that sideline control or possibly even finding those crucial flanks onto the UQ bot line. And it's going to put pressure onto Deanne, I think, to almost peel for a Gnar, which you never want to do with an Alistar. And I don't even know if Deanne is the type of player who wants to peel, because everything we've seen from him is he wants to be an aggressive playmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of problems with this Gnar matchup right now. I think Gragas' itemization is not ideal. You want to see a Bramble Vest first. You want to see Tabbies if you can, or CDR Boots even. I'm guessing he went Boots Rune. Yeah, I can't tell, but...
So you want to know what's scarier than a Gnar that's getting themselves a massive lane lead?
What?
Give it a Mountain Soul as well. Because that's what's going to be on the Rift for this one. Second dragon was secured by QUT. That time it was Cloud. But more importantly, they are 2 dragons away from what would be a Mountain Soul. And that, I feel like, is when we could start to see QUT's comp get a bit more unleashed. At the moment, UQ, they have been staying competitive, but that's been the aggressive jungling from Scott, as we see right here, doing a good job in holding Major back, and Major has to fight for his own red buff right now. Is going to get some help from Tron, but smiting it away. Not even smiting it, I think it was just the damage right there from Scott that secured the buff, so Scott's able to get it, jumps over that Baron wall, gets away scot-free.
Nice pun. It's very important that Graves is doing this kind of stuff. I think going back to the point I made before about when they decided to contest the Herald instead of trade for it, at these dragon spikes. So the way a champ like Graves versus Olaf functions is Olaf wants the first 2 dragons, and by the time the 3rd dragon comes around, the team that's playing against him should have farmed while he was taking them enough to contest.
Well, we got some action happening down bot. Deanne's going to try to make the play. Is able to get to Bobby, but no follow-up just yet. A little bit premature for the teleport. Herald will get a charge off, and that is some plating gold. I'm not sure if Bobby actually got it or not. He could have been too far back in lane, in which case Deanne's play might be rewarded. But by dropping that teleport down in bot, again, you're continuing to leave top alone, leaving Lithium isolated against this Gnar, who, well, in Mega form, is just free to free hit this tower.
Yeah, this is rough. I think Gragas needs a bailout, or they need to trade way harder on bot side. I think UQ is actually just losing everyone on the map right now.
Yeah, I mean, they do have the bot lane and they do have the jungle kind of going in their favor. Mid lane's a pretty even affair as well. I could argue that Keegan has a small lead over Norbit, but these are all minuscule leads, and you're going to notice that gold difference when essentially it might look like QUT has an extra member in these fights, considering the advantage that Tron has over Lithium. However, you could also say Scott perhaps is getting a similar advantage in that jungle. Major has been getting invaded a fair bit, has been having to fight for those jungle camps, and, well, I mean, 2 kills to 0 at the moment. Scott definitely doing his part to help keep UQ afloat.
Yeah, I think it's actually just going to come down to Scott at this point. I think the problem is that there's a lot of champs on QT's side that Graves doesn't really like playing against. I don't think Graves likes playing into Veigar. I don't think Graves likes playing into Nautilus so much. I mean, I think Gnar and Olaf are okay, but it's going to be pretty hard for Scott to carry these fights by himself. He's definitely going to need people to execute their skills correctly and
well,
really
as
do that.
It stands, it does look as if this play might have gotten sniffed out a bit by the EQ side. You can see the pings going into the bush just in time for Scott to jump over the wall, but with that ward in play, Tron will be happy to fall back. Major had already committed to the reset as well, so That's going to be more pressure on the bot side actually coming from QUT just based on where the jungle camps may lay. And it's interesting because it does seem like Scott has had a jungle advantage for the most part. And this is the first time Major has almost out-tempoed Scott.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how they play the waves when the dragon spawns. This next dragon, or at least the dragon after that, are probably the most important objectives on the map. I think if QT gets the next 2 dragons, it's game over. There's just no way for UQ to win, even if they executed perfectly. So really, UQ, what they want to do here is they want to play to one of their strong lanes, get prio through it, and then set up on one side of the river to contest the dragon. If UQ doesn't contest this one, they have to contest the next one.
Yeah, but at the same time, you also don't want to kind of overcommit at this stage because you still do have that safety net. And if you overcommit, get washed out in a fight, it's going to be that much harder to commit for the next dragon. So UQ, they might be on the back foot. They should only take what they know as a surefire win as opposed to that possibility. Yet, if they can set it up properly, they can definitely find that ideal team fight. They just need to be mindful of a couple things. The big one, that teleport on the Gnar. That is going to be the big impact. If Tron gets involved in a fight, it can sway things back in favor of QUT. QT also already got the Scuttlebug, so they've got that vision. UQ has a couple little hiccups that they need to play around, but they also have the engage tools, as we see down below, and this could be the trade that opens the door for UQ. Bobby taken so low, gets stunned, gets taken down. Clint gets that first kill. Teleport's coming through. Tron, though, is going to teleport right into the waiting arms of multiple UQ members, as Scott's going to lead that charge. Getting caught out, though, that's going to be poor Norbit. Scott trying to get that kill. Instead, it does go over, I believe, to Scott. He secures it. Tron, left alone, tries to flash away. The explosive casket's going to help, but already 4 members have been found. 4 members go down, and UQ get their first dragon of the game.
That was best case scenario for UQU, and they executed it very well. I think a lot of credit goes down to UQ's bot lane for just taking the initiative, knowing they had some power at that moment and going for it.
Yeah.
I think if UQ didn't fight like that, I was very concerned for their chances of winning, but now I think it's turned around quite a lot. That's a big gold lead and a lot of tempo.
Yeah, that is the big 2K gold lead at the tail end of that one. Taking a look at those individual gold numbers. Before, it would have been about even between Tron and Scott. No more. Scott has a 1K lead over Tron.
2K.
2K, actually. Well, that's 5,000. There you go. See, 1K. So it's a 1K lead. More action happening in the mid lane. Bobby could be getting caught out right here. Tricky little stun, but not going to be enough. Point I'm trying to make is, which you did highlight, that tempo advantage now in UQ's favor. They've gotten their first dragon, and they know how to execute this team fight, and that was, well, getting the picks. And I was a little critical of DM before, perhaps being a bit too aggressive. Well, it worked out in that situation.
Yeah, no, that was really good. I think the timing was really good as well. Like, UQ was there to back them up as well. And I think it was a coordinated effort to some extent. But it's really important that UQ doesn't falter here. They push the prio further, because even though Graves might outscale Olaf, I think there's a lot of scaling on QT's side that's going to threaten them in the mid to late stages of the game. And so they have to keep pushing. They have to keep this tempo. They have to use it to make a play. I don't want to see them contest this Herald, to be honest. If QT has moved to it first, I want to see them setting up for the next dragon. Oh, wow.
That was a cheeky little steal from Major right there, but the question is, will Major get punished? The answer is no, because Deanne decides to pulverize the river as opposed to the champion. Yeah, we saw that whiff, buddy. Gonna have to live with that one. Either way, though, UQ still up 7-1, still more in control of this game, and I always like to say, good teams can get a lead. It's the great teams that know how to close it, and eyes are going to be on UQ, I should say, right now to close out this game, and that could be being a little patient still trying to find those correct moments. I'm not sure this one could be it. Scott, however, thinks it is. He's going to go over the wall and get some chip damage down onto Trimming. Not enough to warrant a full-out fight, but it's interesting to see in the 2v3, the 2 sends the 3 running.
Yeah, I think this situation is very important. These next 5 minutes are going to be very important to decide who wins this game, I believe.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a critical exchange, especially with Baron spawning onto the Rift in just under a minute. We will be seeing Mr. Nasher. And with the way how things are going, there's a good chance that UQ probably will be able to fight for it, although everyone has their eyes set on the bot lane right now. No one's really concerned about that 20-minute Baron play, perhaps, as UQ, they're starting to get even more in QUT's face. They're starting to get those deeper wards in. They're starting to find out Major more and more in that jungle, and you can see it working out for them. They're finding more pick opportunities, and they're keeping QUT on that back foot.
Yeah, I think it's really good that they're invading the jungle. They're pushing their their advantages on the players that they can. You can just see this matchup top lane, though. It's just so rough at this point.
Oh, my goodness. How much damage does Tron want to do? Lithium has to explode the casket on it themselves just to get out of that alive. Meanwhile, though, in the mid lane, you can see a bit of a play getting set up. Scott is standing on a ward, so QUT will do the smart thing. Back up for now. Ward will be spotted, of course, with the control vision placed down. And where do you go right here if you're a UQ? Because QUT, they're doing their best to play a very conservative game at this stage.
Yeah, you can just see how hard it is for UQU's comp to function in this mid game. Like they don't have the tools to go forward or to make proactive plays realistically. Like a Graves dashing into a lane is not going to do much compared to a Veigar Cage or a Nautilus Flash. Alistar is the big playmaker, but Alistar can't make plays on a lot of the champs in this game. He can't make plays on Olaf, he can't make plays on Veigar, he can't really make plays on Gnar. So it's going to come down to trap plays and who sets up first on an objective and really controls that area, which is why I really want to see UQ get to this dragon first.
Yeah, well, they need to race to it. That dragon spawning in less than a minute right now. And you saw the pings coming down. In fact, it will be Scott sort of leading the charge on that pathing there. But QUT has more members, it appears, in that immediate area. In fact, Tron, with no teleport, is already waddling on over. QUT does not want to give this dragon up for free, and we've got the makings of another big fight just around the corner.
Yeah, this is a 2-item Gnar and versus a one-item Gragas. So I think if the fight is around the Gnar, it's going to be a big win for QUT.
Well, the river dance has already begun, and we're not even in March yet, as both sides sort of scoping each other out, trying to find that opening. Dredgeline not going to commit. Depth charge, though, could be a big factor, though, so keep your eyes on it. Tron's actually looking to go for Clint, and they think they may have found him. Clint taken solo, has to burn the ultimate, but gets pulled right into the middle of the QUT side, and they get the shutdown on the carry. A second kill for QUT, as their front line is running rampant. The two-man Gnar shuts down the back line of UQ. However, is the damage there? Scott quite tanky is turning it back around. Down falls the Nautilus, and Tron has to be careful because he's low as well. Somehow, UQ brings the fight back. Scott now leading charge. How much damage does this Graves want to do? They turn it around, they win the fight, and their second dragon is the reward.
Yeah, I guess Graves is just too good. You can see that, like, even though QT won the fight at the start, it didn't matter because the Graves could just walk up afterwards. I think really it was a blessing that Luke got caught, because if the fight had been more standard and the initial engage had been on the Graves, I think it would have been a totally different story. So you can see this. Scott is just taking over this game now because the fights he's cleaning up every fight effectively.
It's really unfortunate because QT, because you see the Samara, oh my God, sorry. You see that AD carry, you see Samara, and you're thinking, okay, I need to burst this champion down. This is a damage threat, but then you look at that score. Graves currently 5-0-3, has tanky to boot because of the passive, now has that stopwatch. I don't know how QUT actually handles Scott.
Yeah, so I think the initial engage was actually perfectly fine by QT.
It was bait. It was all bait, as it looked to be a case of Tron getting scared of the Alistar on their own. I love live events, by the way.
Yeah, that was a good one. No, yeah, so I think QT's initial engage was actually really good. It's just that they tried to re-engage on a champ that's really good into re-engage.
Well, speaking of engages, DN might have been getting caught out. Teleport's coming through. QT actually wants this fight in the choke. Keep your eyes on Scott. It's going to be his flank, his collateral damage that might burst things back in the favor of UQ. Shockwave in the back line does get some health bars low. In particular, it does get Bobby low enough that QQT do not want this fight. In fact, they are running away. Keegan might have themselves the avenue for the flank, but with the dredge line, it does look like trimming Amore might get out. DN blast comes over the wall. That Alistar so low health, yet somehow trimming also survives that bit of burst. And in the end, QUT get out with everyone alive.
Yeah, this is just going from bad to worse. You can see Graves free hitting that entire fight, but if the tanks are still up and full health, he just can't do anything. He can't walk into cage, and he can't hit the tanks.
It's very patient play from both these teams, though, in some of these fights right now. Like, yeah, we saw the dragon fight got a little bit chaotic, but UQ definitely is picking their moments, I feel, a bit more intelligently. They are playing around Scott, recognizing that he is that damage dealer. Yes, if they lose, one or two odd members, it's fine. As long as Scott is healthy, UQ feels like they have a chance in these fights. And I almost like UQ dragging QUT into the jungle, into those choke points, because I feel like that's where Graves really is going to shine.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really important that the fights are on their terms. I think vision is going to be really key. the main abilities, like UQ's comp is very ultimate reliant. It's very important that these main abilities are hitting multiple people, and the only way that's going to work is if they're in a position that they want to be in.
Yeah, and again, that comes back to the vision, as you mentioned before, and which is why at this stage we've been seeing that vision getting established by the UQ side so deep into QUT's jungle, and it's allowed UQ to sort of set up some of these scenarios right now. Deanne constantly invading, so too is Scott, and they've really been able to track a lot of QUT's movements, and that's helped UQ find those few opportunities that they've had to give themselves the lead in this game. Now, pace has slowed down a little bit. Baron being on the Rift means that, losing that next fight could be a bit of a devastating play. As it looks like our observer does want to highlight, that 700 gold bounty right now on Scott could be something that is worth noting. That happens when you're 5-0-3.
Yeah, Scott's build is so weird. I haven't seen that one before. GA second item? He's definitely committing to being...
we could be seeing something in the jungle, though. This is the most aggressive we've seen UQ, and of course it is Scott leading that charge. Tron the Palm is going to be the target. If they can get that Gnar out of play, the team fight should go UQ's way. Meanwhile, Dredgeline is going to connect onto Deanne, who turns it into a re-engage. Bobby is currently kind of been slowed a bit. Goes for the killer instinct into the back line and completely obliterates the front line of UQ. Reinforcements trying to ride, but Keegan is there way too late, and Scott gets stunned, and Scott does get his GA pop. Not down just yet, but will respawn right into an event horizon. QUT get their first team fight, and they are back in this game.
Yeah, there's a lot that can be said about this situation. I think, just as I was highlighting before, that GA did absolutely nothing in that scenario. I think it actually was really unfortunate that he's built like this. I think with this gold lead, you need to be dealing damage. Like, there's no one else on your team that's going to be dealing damage. So that GA was an unfortunate purchase, and then the fight itself, you can just see that compositionally, it's going to be really rough for UQU.
Yeah, that was a tough one for them to swallow. And it seems, again, it was kind of more the aggressive team got a little bit punished. UQ biting off a bit more than they can chew, especially with not everyone being in the right position. I think a big part of that, yes, the fight was in a choke point where you want the Graves, where you want the Orianna, but Keegan wasn't there yet. Keegan was too far back.
Yeah, this was on QT's terms, not on UQ's terms. This is not how UQ wants to fight.
Oh, Deanne again going for that cheeky deep invade, but might be getting caught out. Or is it Bobby who will be found? A lot of damage already onto this Alistar. Do we see that re-engage? Maybe not, with Clint a bit further down the river. Dragon is the goal for both these teams, it feels like. And with that Baron, UQ can't afford to let QUT get into lane and establish that lane control, because then they will lose the Dragon. However, QUT is thinking, you know what? We already got enough lane control. We're going to go for that Dragon right now and say, UQ, you come to us.
Yeah, you can see, luckily QT's actually given them the part of the river that they wanted. I think QT could have just contested that point and held it.
Yeah, instead, though, it's going to be a bit of that Dragon dance. Event Horizon used to try and stone out UQ, but Scott takes the Dragon away. He might pay for it with his life, but UQ's trying to mount a rescue mission. Deanne throws Tron over the wall, who jumps back and gets the kill, says thank you for the little roller coaster ride, and a disaster for UQ, or is it? You can see damage being thrown back, but it's not going to be enough. Keegan, the last one left standing, forced to run for their life. Oh, the Void Seeker hits. However, I do believe Killer Instinct has been used, and Keegan should be safe.
Yeah, I think that QT just conceded their control way too hard there. They had full control, full vision control, full positioning of the river. There's no way that UQU should have been able to enter, but they did, and they allowed Graves to just sneakily steal that one and get a few kills along the way.
So it's an interesting fight because QUT still comes out for the better, right? They have their immersive advantage at the end. They get to knock down some towers. They get to put some pressure on the map. But it could have gone better for them. Like, it wasn't clean by any stretch. They lose that Dragon. UQ now has that out for that Mountain Soul. And realistically, both teams sort of walk away from that one thinking, okay, not the best, but it could have gone worse. I don't know. It's a neutral fight almost.
Yeah, almost. It's a pretty interesting one, but I think that it was UQU who got away with it. QT should never have ever given that Dragon or anything in that situation. They had Baron. They had full control. Everything that UQ got was a bonus, and that's why I think that it's actually a big loss for QT, even though they ended up getting a few towers and the gold. I think from that position, the game should have ended.
Yeah, it could have been the game-ending play. They didn't even get the inhibitor in the end. That mid-inhib still standing, and that's going to almost feel like a lost opportunity as Deanne again gets spotted out trying to invade the QT jungle. And while these sort of cheeky invades were working before, it seems like each and every time now Deanne is being found. And if he's on any champion besides Alistar, I feel like these would be kills.
Yeah, I don't mind his pathing there. I think if they're trying to get that wave out for Samir, I actually like that he was there nearby to help him out. I'm not really sure what UQ's plan here is though, because it seems like they're just walking around and looking for trouble. Yeah, looking for trouble it is.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot of trouble being found right now. Scott is going to go down, and that's so much gold, so much damage gone. Deanne unable to make the save, and Deanne actually might be going down as well. It's like a bunch of lions attacking a big hippo, and the double kill goes to Bobby. This Kaisa feeling themselves already a number advantage, 5-3, and QUT, now they will look to get that inhibitor.
Yeah, this inhib is going down for sure. I'm not sure if QT can get anything more. I'd like to see them transition it to at least break that bot tower. There's no camps up, so that's about all
they
they're going to get.
They should keep pushing. I mean, do you not
close.
push there? You have the numbers advantage.
Well, they have no Baron, and there's the wave. The wave is almost gone. I think it's pretty risky. I'd rather see them get both outers here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is why you're the coach, and I'm stuck in silver. Either way, we are going to be seeing a bit of a siege happening up top at the moment. The 5-man just going to absolutely blitz that tower down and continue their march initially. Eventually, they will back off, actually, take their advantages, reset, get some more items. That next Baron fight could be the tool that QUT needs to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to the next objective regardless. I'd like to see them buying any last-minute items to really end this game. This next dragon fight will decide it. So if I'm QT, what I want to see them doing is keeping all the waves pushed up, denying UQ as much control as they can. Whereas if I'm UQU, I'm gonna want them to be looking for angles where they can go together to look for a play before the dragon spawns on a specific target. I don't think they want to wait for the waves to be pushed into them when the dragon spawns.
I have to agree with you right there. And just to take a quick step back before we get this crazy fight, which looks to be on the verge of being set up, historically, these games have been kind of one-sided. Like, yes, every series does go to 3 between these teams, but it's usually one side just sort of running away with it each and every time. For a match one, game one, it's been so evenly matched,
huge.
and now we decide to scrap once again. Bobby looks to be getting caught out. Deanne really wants to get to that Kaisa, and with the shockwave, with the collateral damage, goes the damage of QUT. Bobby no longer in the fight, and that could be dragon control for UQU.
Yeah, UQ has to maintain their control here. If they get this dragon, it's actually a big win for them. Like this dragon is the highest statistically, highest win rate statistically.
Oh, the Hex Flash play, but the combo isn't pulled off.
Not
and instead of finding the kill, they knock, I believe that was Norbit to safety. UQ is still going to turn this into a dragon, but I mean...
Yeah, if they get the dragon, it's worth. I didn't want them to be overextending and falling into like some
look
weird
at the Baron
4v5
pings,
loss. No, this is worth. Commit to the dragon.
Well, they are going to commit a couple members to the dragon. They only need 3 to take it, and they're hoping the other 2 can run enough disruption, but they also could be just walking right into a trap. I'm not sure this is going to be entirely worth if you lose those 2 members.
No, it's
not. That is dragon already secured. Perhaps they're trying to buy enough time for the rest of the team because UQ is racing to get to that Baron pit. But with Tron acting as the bouncer, not allowing anyone into the club, you've got to sneak through. And the teleport is looking to do just that, straight into his stun, but it might not matter because here comes the rest of UQ. Deanne already trying to zone Norbit away. The Baron has been stopped. A flank happening down below, but the damage is too much up top as Keegan is going to town with Lithium. In the end, though, it's not enough to take down that front line. Major stays alive. Tron barely escapes. QUT looks to have gotten 1-for-1 out of that trade. Sorry, 1-for-2. But Scott's not done. Forces a flash with that smoke screen.
Wow, they actually pulled it off. I thought for sure that Baron was gone, and then they were going to die to like some re-engage. But wow, UQ actually staunches them off the Baron. That's so massive. And now UQ has the Dragon Soul. This game's looking real nice for them.
So I know we're still 7.5 minutes away from this. But before the game started, I did pull Bobby aside and said, if this game goes over 40 minutes, I'm blaming you. I'm blaming you, all right? 8-5-6 Kaisa doing their job, but I've got to stick true to what I said in the pregame, right? We could be seeing that 40-plus minute game.
Yeah, it just depends on who contests what fight.
Well, we got
Yeah, you
ourselves
see.
another Baron, perhaps getting started up. Once again, QUT going to be that more proactive team, but they're doing it without their Kaisa. Kaisa doesn't even have the killer instinct to really launch themselves into a fight, so they have to be very, very careful here. Event Horizon does come down. Scott doesn't like that interest. Instead, we'll use the Blast Cone to go for the flank, but Tron is already waiting. Meanwhile, DN trying to find that avenue, trying to get to Major on that back line, but instead they're going to look to zone out both Norman and Bobby. They're not in the fight, so QQ says, yes, we will take this fight. We will try to get the kills. Ragnarok is used to take down Clint, and now you see QUT desperately trying to punch through that front line. Shockwave gets the back line. UQ, they're just too taky.
Graves is
they're
alive.
just too healthy. They had the angles. They get the fight. Tron forced to run for his life and just looks to escape. However, with Scott and Lithium, that could be a Baron going to UQU.
Yeah, Graves goes untouched. This Dragon Soul plus his now Infinity Edge purchase. Very good. Not GA. Makes him unkillable, and he's just able to 1v5 these fights, basically.
Look at the base, though. Look at the base. I think Tron just saw what I saw, and that was Super Minions attacking Nexus Tower, so he's going to go ahead and teleport down. I mean, this base race actually might be enough to disrupt the Baron. You do have Lithium trying to recall back in time, but towers are already getting destroyed. Tron continues to whittle away, gets the second Nexus Tower just as the inhibitor spawns, and shows off some mastery as he jumps over the wall.
Wow, he's a thief in the night. Oh, man. This game is all about the Gnar and all about the Graves.
It really has become the battle of two carries. However, Baron could provide that leading edge for the UQ side. Baron buff on all 5 members, and although they haven't cracked the base open yet, you have to feel like now is UQ's moment to try and end this game.
Yeah. It's going to be a little bit hard into Veigar to fully end on one push with one wave, but they definitely have to go through mid now that they have an open Nexus and open inhibitor. I think it's a very dangerous position for basically, regardless of the buffs on UQ's side, if QT ever wins a fight, this game ends in their favor. They don't even need a wave. And that is a very scary position for UQ to be in.
I could almost say the same thing, though, for UQ at this stage of the game. I mean, we're past that 35-minute mark where every fight means so much.
Yeah, you're right.
As we do see, UQ, they have their idea set in motion. They are playing around that mid lane. And QUT, no teleport on Tron. This could be the fight that UQ actually wants. Scott will be leading that charge.
Veigar's out of position. You can see this push shouldn't work like this, but Veigar's not there to put the cage down, so each of these towers is going to go down,
Yeah, this is a bit of a misstep for QUT, and it's costing them the entrance to their base. Tron, though, wants that Mega Gnar play, only gets Scott, but Scott is that target. They chain the CC, but in the back line, DN is already keeping Bobby away. Trimming armor, trying to access that front line. They got so much damage onto Scott, who gets alive barely with use of the collateral damage, and now is throwing that damage right back into the face of QUT. Inhibitor slowly getting whittled down. Lithium trying to do it again. Shockwave just decimates QUT. And already they are running back to the safety of the Nexus. 2 members down, 2-1. Numbers in favor of UQ, but they're not done yet. DN trying to get to that back line. Will get stunned by the Event Horizon. But look at the damage everyone else from UQ is throwing to the Nexus Tower. Is throwing to the Nexus. UQ trying to end this game. Do they have it? Yes, they do. UQ takes game number 1.
Yeah, real banger. That's what I wanted to see, and I got it.
A fantastic game number 1 for UQ. They're going to go up 1-0 in this series. And in just a few minutes, we're going to be back with game number 2. So we're going to have a quick break to rest, to recover, and get ready. More League of Legends when we return.